Giants Nation, what is happening right now? We are a freaking month away from the 2023 National Football League Draft in Kansas City. Giants fans, we have the pleasure tonight. Truth, as always, is in the show. He does a lot of analytics. He watches a lot of game tape. A lot of the players that he loves goes to the Baltimore Ravens. So Truth knows what the hell he's talking about. And then, of course, we got New York Giants Rush's very own Zain. Zain is in the house. Joining tonight. Zain, welcome to the Draft Talk special, man. We always love having you on.
Glad to finally be on. I don't know what the pecking order was, but I know I wasn't first or second or third, but here I am. I'm somewhere in the mix, but I'm in the mix.
Well, we had you earlier, but you had things you needed to do. Remember?
Yeah, it was things I had to do. COVID did me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm back and I'm healthy and I'm good to go.
Good.
We're glad to have you now. As always, Zain, man, you're always bringing some insight, into this. I mean, we did it last year. I think we did edges last year with you. And it was one of
our linebackers and edges, yeah.
Is that what it was?
Linebackers and right. We did inside outside last year, right? We had it combined.
Yeah.
A couple of inside, couple of outside. But yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I feel that.
So it was a good time.
Yeah. So look, we're back right now, right? The Giants were on a 34 defense. We got Okereke, however we pronounce such.
It is Okereke.
Okereke.
Yeah.
So
I think you did get it right.
But drop the T. Okereke.
Sounds good to me.
I like it.
All right. Fair enough. So look, that addresses a piece of the inside. What's that, Zain?
I'm going to text him while you guys talk.
All right. Yeah. That's pretty badass that you could just say that. I'm not gonna lie, I can't just message him.
Who's that?
Okereke.
Oh.
Yeah, I just texted him and it said message not delivered. So.
It happens all the time when I try these celebrities. But we did get Kurt Warner on the show. So
I think I got the wrong number. All
right. Listen, so inside linebacker, right? We got Okereke. A huge plug-in for the middle linebacker position because we were very weak last year after the departure of Martinez. Let me ask you something, Zain. I mean, in your opinion, how important is it now that we solidify that inside linebacker spot? We run a 3-4. I saw you kind of doing this, and you have a good point. I figure what you're thinking was we generally run a 3-3-5 anyway, right? But what are your thoughts on our needs at inside linebacker?
Yeah, sure. I know we're supposed to be, running a prototypical 3-4, but that didn't happen. We didn't have, the horses to run a prototypical 3-4. We all knew that, right?
Of course.
So I think we saw a lot of like a 2-4-5. You saw a lot of weird mixtures, like a 3-3, a 3-2-6. Even when you drop into dimes, right? We saw a lot more of that. So even though Wink was blitz crazy, which he was slightly responsibly blitz crazy because he kept enough DBs in coverage where it didn't necessarily kill you all the time. Now, there's examples that will, i.e. that first game against Minnesota, right? Third and whatever, they get the 60-yard field goal. That was on an unnecessary blitz, but hey, Wing's going to go for it as opposed to sitting back and just let it happen anyway. We've seen us give up 3rd and 18s in coverage without blitzing. So, you live and you die with it, which is perfectly fine. But Okereke was amazing, huge. I think I tweeted this numerous times last year. One of the big missing pieces in that levels of defense, obviously when you have a McKinney and you have an Adoree, and then you got your Kayvon, Aziz, and Dexter, you had nothing in that middle area. Nothing, really. I think a lot of people were excited about Beavers, myself included. I was very sad when he got hurt. I was actually at that preseason game when he got hurt. And I was sitting next to my wife, and someone went down. I was like, "Oh, please don't be Beavers." She goes, "Who?" I was like, "What number was it?" And it was Beavers, and I was very sad because I had for him. I mean, he looked amazing, and I'm hoping his transition and he comes back and it'll be good for him. But yeah, Okereke is a stud. You go back to my tweet in January. I wanted this guy. I wanted the Giants to draft him a few years ago. Been a fan since college. Tough kid, tough kid, smart kids, uber athletic. True sideline to sideline. No more halfway guy. You're not going to make it. He's going to get there before you. He's that guy. So super excited about him. Plus, anytime you add that layer, it just makes everybody else around you better, right? So now McFadden, who's more of a blitzing type, cleanup maybe type guy, right? He can now focus on that aspect because you got a guy to do more or do the bulk thing. So I think it's a win all around for that second level.
No, I agree with you. I actually completely agree. I mean, we are in a situation where, and this is the one thing that makes the defense pretty special nowadays, is that, I mean, the most important thing is to protect the passer, right? So, I mean, I kind of feel like there's going to be some differentiated looks that if they move forward with just Okereke and they, they're not really plugging in that extra inside linebacker position, they might be able to move forward and not really have to worry about it too much. But of course, it is nice when they are in that formation where they can execute.
Yeah. And just let me say this, and this is just my opinion, even though we did sign him and we got McFadden and Beaver's coming back, and we signed Davis, I think they're still going to draft possibly an inside linebacker. My theory is on day 3 with 7 picks, one of them could be an inside linebacker.
I wouldn't be shocked. I'm with you. I feel like there's a lot of moves being made and people assume, oh, starter. I don't think we should make that assumption that all of a sudden the draft plans have changed, right? You shouldn't all of a sudden say, oh, well, one of the big talent gaps we had was you had a starter and you were like, oh, yeah, this guy's killing it. But the moment he had to go take a breath, the drop-off was insane. It was like jumping off the World Trade Center, right? It was that big of a gap that the guy behind. And that's not disrespect to any guy behind him. It's just you saw the talent gap. Dexter Lawrence wasn't even allowed to leave the field. You can't expect a guy to play 80 snaps in a row and be, full-fledged. It's not going to happen. They need
not at 340. You're right.
Yeah, it's not feasible.
And guys, before we break into like the analytics of like all these players,
sure.
I want to talk about like what are your expectations for a good middle linebacker? Because here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot that they can offer. They could be talented in terms of, they could, blow up the quarterback. There's some guys that are really good at getting to the quarterback. It's not really all that common anymore with middle linebackers to be that expected, guy that's going to get to the quarterback consistently. You could be a coverage middle linebacker. I would love for a middle linebacker to be able to cover a tight end for once. That's key. Then there's also the guy that's really good at calling the plays. I watched a video of Kuechly the other day from, some time between, 2014 and 2017. And what he was so special at, he's a smart guy coming out of Stanford, it was his ability to read the plays and determine what the plays are going to be before they actually occur. And that's kind of the key there is leadership, right? And that helps the defense a ton. I mean, if you adjust and call those audibles with the coverage scheme, that is very helpful for the team. So I do think that all these middle linebackers can individually bring value in different ways. And that's actually what makes, these linebackers and the assessment of these positions pretty fun. It's like, look, this guy might not be a great coverage guy, but if he can determine what the play is going to be, that immensely helps the defense because it helps the other good players that we have, like Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, right? So we're going to get into this. But real quick, I want to hear from you. Truth, we'll start with you. Zain, we'll go to you next.
Sure.
What's an ideal middle linebacker to you?
I think you want to choose Zain, right?
I said me. I thought you were going to come to me.
No, I said you first, Truth.
There you
did. I apologize. I heard the same thing. Well, my ideal.
Well, wake up, buddy. Wake up.
Truth, come on, man. We're having an intergenerational argument. On
senior moment. Senior moment here.
You're not making the boomers look good right now. Truth, come on.
I'm staring at Zain. He's staring at me.
It's like, you just like the way you look, buddy. That's all it is. That's what you all day.
Well, my ideal inside linebacker is a guy who could play 3 downs, who could play 3 downs well, who could stuff the run. And like you said, Spartan, who could cover the tight end, or anybody who comes over the middle makes them regret it. That's my ideal of an ideal inside linebacker.
All right, Zain, how about you?
Sure. I'm going to add into what Truth said, right? So the drop coverage part, I would expect more zone dropping than man. Like if he can play man, great. But I'm happier keeping about 7 to 10, maybe even 15, but drop in the zone and hold your alignments. I'd be happy with that. But I'm going to go with what you said earlier, right? I'll take the brain over the brawn scenario for my middle linebacker. If he's a little bit less athletic, but the instincts and the smarts are there, that to me holds a little bit more value. Let's take the example of a Julian Love, not a knock on Love, but much smarter than athletic. I think that's maybe a fair
Really?
statement, you know? So I
It
think we
is.
take the same type of player, the one who has more of the effort, more of the grind, more of the brain almost, and has enough physical tools to play the part. So my ideal one would be, I mean, a good first step. You don't have to be a 4-4, 4-5, but a good first step. But the read and react is way more important than anything else to me. In football, I think read and react blows everything else away, which is why you see these lesser athletes get through. It's not that they aren't athletes at all, they're better athletes, but they are smarter athletes, if you will, or more instinctual ones, or just can read and react a little bit better.
For sure.
Yep.
All right, Zane. Well, look, why don't we jump right into it? We'll start off, and guys, we have gone in the past, like, Truth will do his set, I'll do my set, and then whoever our guest is will do their set. Zane brought up a good point. Why don't we differentiate? Everybody's going to do an individual one. We're going to keep cycling through. We will start with Zane, though.
We'll
And the
just
first guy that
look
we're gonna-
around, and if you're in the comments, guys, feel free to comment. You like the guy, don't like the guy, what you like about him. Like, let us know your opinion as well.
Yeah, guys, I will bring up anything you put in the comments about any of these guys too, because if you did some homework on them, we want to hear about it. But first, I'll just real quick say, Darius, what is going on? Ideal middle linebacker with someone like Blake Martinez. Wouldn't mind bringing a guy like Blake Martinez back.
I feel like we had a guy like Blake Martinez once. I feel like we had that.
We had it.
I gotta think about his name, but I feel like I had a guy similar.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
It's my memory, right? It's my memory, but I feel like I don't know. I gotta think about
had something, right?
Sounding like.
Jay Ferries, welcome on in, man. Always good to have you. Old aches and pains. I actually don't know who you are. Say who you are on Twitter, so I make sure. Like, if you say you're, so and so, I might actually recognize you. But good to have everybody on, right? All right, we're gonna go through the gridiron. Gridiron, what is happening? Chris, what is going on, brother? I met you in the parking lot at the Giants-Colts game, one of the greatest games I've ever been to as a Giants fan.
It was a smack. It was amazing. So much.
God, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Now, Daniel Tilson. Daniel Tilson, man, what is happening?
Yeah, that's a new name.
That's a new name, Daniel. Are you on Twitter?
Welcome.
We'll hear from him soon. Zain, why don't we go right into it? This is a name that's intriguing to me, and tell me about a question I have about this guy. Noah Sewell. Is he related to Penei Sewell?
Yes.
His brother.
He's his brother. Okay.
He's his brother, his younger brother. So already got a good bloodline. Shout out to Real Cole, Steve. What's up? But yeah, has a great bloodline, which is always good, right? Some people care about pedigree more than others. Some people don't care about pedigree at all. I do think pedigree matters a little bit because those traits usually trend a little bit, right? You pick up those traits from successful siblings or parents or uncles, right? It's not a shock that a lot of these guys have an uncle or a so-and-so who played. That's not exactly mind-blowing. Those pedigrees kind of flow around the bloodline a little bit. So from that standpoint, yep, he absolutely is Penei Sewell's brother, so that's exciting. But what's most exciting about him, he's a very interesting Mike because he's not a traditional Mike in the sense where he's not a tackling machine in that sense, in my opinion at least. He can miss tackles. You can misdirect him. Those are some of the bad things about Sewell, right? He can get misdirected, washed out a little bit because he's a little bit stiff, agility-wise. But he's still a good 245, 250. He plays violent. He hits hard. That's what I like, right? Hard-hitting linebacker. Great motor, right? This is now making up for things I can't do. My motor isn't going to stop. Most importantly, he fits this defense. Why?
Mm-hmm.
The kid's blitz happy. Speedy guy, good first step, would fit perfectly in wings. So in my world, the linebackers I picked on two folds, right? One, it's going to work in the defense, and two, I think we might actually have a shot at him. So I'm not really talking about a guy that I know we're not going to get because then we're just talking about him, and that's okay. I feel like these are some realistic targets. Again, depending on who's the first one. As me and Truth were talking about early, it usually takes one team to pick a position, and then you get the run, right? You just start getting the run because people are like, oh, the first guy's gone. I got to grab the second. I got to grab the third. That happens pretty often, which is why in the wide receiver world, I don't have my hopes up. It's going to take one team at 19, 18, 20 to pick one, and they're going to run. So don't hold your breath on the wide receiver world. Everybody who wants one at 25, it's all going to depend on everybody else. But yeah, so Sewell, I really like. Strong. 6'1", 250, runs a 4.6, so not super fast, but I think he put up 25 or 28 reps.
For a linebacker, that's incredible. 4.6.
Yeah. So he put up a broad jump, was really good. Now he plays Mike in Oregon. I don't know if he'd be your traditional Mike here. Again, I'd probably have somebody else in this defense be your Mike, but I'd move him around, right? He's my guy. I'd be moving around, playing a little bit as a not only a blitzer, but maybe my chaser. You know, my chaser who comes around and just chases the ball carrier down as opposed to getting in front. Somebody else would already get in front and just make sure you clean up and tackle. So that's what I like about Sewell.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what?
And
So what?
Coach's
Where
our
do you
expert, so he can correct me on everything. I am not an
No,
expert at all. It's just
no,
a
it's your
curiosity.
opinion. It's your opinion, Zane.
Yeah,
We don't know.
Julio.
You know, we're all giving our opinions. That we respect what you're saying.
Yeah, if
You
you
know?
completely disagree, anyone here could feel free to like speak up to that. But I mean, in general, I mean, no one's it's really got like a jump down the throat
Oh,
opportunity.
shout out to Tommy G, world famous in the building. Appreciate
Oh,
you.
Tommy G is in the house.
World famous,
Oh,
blessing us.
my
Oh,
man,
and he knows my
Tommy.
name? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Tommy, we still got to get you on at some point. Now we're running out of time. We got a couple of new members of Rush. I know
No,
we
we'll get him on at the end. Yeah. We
There we
will.
go.
Best for last, man. Best for last.
We'll
And I
get
will say
Tommy on.
one of the pro comparisons I heard that I found really exciting for Sewell was Donta Hightower, who just retired. And what a career that guy had. They don't win those Super
Yeah.
Bowls without him, man.
such
Not
an
too shabby.
underrated player.
Such an underrated linebacker that people maybe, unless you're a Pats fan, you're not going to talk about, right? Because he's not
No
your
one
guy.
talks about it, man.
But he was what a career for him. If you can have a guy like that for a decade, sign me up tomorrow.
Of course.
Please, inject that in my veins. I want it.
Nice.
I want it. Look, so I'm going to talk about. I'm going to hand it off to myself actually to talk about the next guy, Dorian Williams. Here's the thing: I always love a player that's playing for a team that generally sucks, but all of a sudden just had a ball out year. Now, whether it's all on a guy like Dorian Williams or it's on the whole team, it's still worth mentioning. Dorian Williams played for Tulane. Tulane is a horrible football program. Great band. They've always had a great band. But when it comes to football, they suck. But this past year, they actually had a very good institution. If I'm not mistaken, they actually beat USC in a bowl game this year.
Yeah, they did. I think they did.
Good, thanks. So I was about to Google that.
I think they did.
I was talking on my ass, and I was like, wait, no, that did happen. I know that happened. But, all right, so this is what I love about the dude. And if you looked at him, he's got very thin hips. He almost looks like he could be a wide receiver. He can blow up blocks very well, very impressively for a guy of his weight, his size. Generally you see the more sturdier inside linebackers able to do that. His speed is immense, and I love seeing that when it's like, the sideways speed, it's pretty good when he's running from one side of the field to another. But what he's really special at is attacking that hole and getting to the quarterback or getting to the running back. He blows up those inside runs. The most unique thing this guy does that is really important because, I mean, we're getting to a point now in football where they're doing no other play but a QB sneak for that 4th and 1, for that 3rd and 1. He's the best linebacker I have ever seen in my entire life, blowing up a 4th and 1 situation. He gets to quarterbacks on QB sneaks. Even if you had this guy as a specialist, you'd be saying, man, this is a lot of value we're getting here. If you can turn over a ball on 4th and 1 or stuff him on 3rd and 1, you're in really good shape. Dorian Williams does just that. The downside is he's a bit small, and he also overbites on tackles. Like if somebody tries juking him, he's in a lot of trouble. He doesn't take care of that very well. But again, that quarterback sneak blow up is incredible how well he perfects that. But all in all, he's a good linebacker. He is a little bit limited in his capabilities here, but if he was a guy, I would say this: if he was a guy that was going to be available at like the 3rd round, I'd say screw it, go for him, because then we have a specialty guy.
He will be available.
1st round linebacker, probably not. I wouldn't want the Giants to take him 25, but I am impressed at what he's very good at.
Well, I will tell you, I believe he led the nation in tackles. Someone on there can check for me, but I'm going off memory. I believe he did lead the nation in tackles, and he also had 5 sacks as well. So,
yeah.
like you said, he's very active, and something to say when a guy has good instincts. I think Zain mentioned it earlier. You don't have to be fast, but if you have good instincts, you look fast when you play football. You look like you're on. You look like you're at the point of attack before the ball carrier gets there, and that's what some of the really quality linebackers do. They have good instincts, and they attack. And you know what? If this kid did overreact on some plays, overshoot it, you know what? He'll learn to toe it down. But you got to love that. You got to love that his motor. I mean, he's
no doubt.
I got him graded as a fourth rounder. I think he'd be a nice.
I think that's a sweet spot, truth here. I think you see maybe a late third, but definitely a fourth round spot for him.
Yeah, and again,
if we can get him at that point, I'm more than happy with the Giants executing on that draft decision.
And I always say this, Zain, it all depends what the first 50 picks do or how it works out, because we're going to see a lot of talent, shooting down past 50. And we're going to be, oh my goodness, this guy's still available.
Yep.
It happens every year. So
teams overthink it. They overthink it. Or exactly. Go, you know what? I don't really need this guy this year. I'll get a different guy. Which, I mean, better for us.
No, totally. Real quick, we have somebody in the house I've never seen before. I got a couple new guests in here. Carlitos. Greetings from Costa Rica.
Hey, wow. National, baby. Tommy G brings all the global love.
We love it. We love it. Look, we got Mark from Barbados. It's always up in the house. Tudo from Italy. We love it. I mean, obviously, I'm in a different state. Truth's in a different state. Zain, we're all actually in different states. We love it when we get guys from different countries up in here.
I know.
Awesome, Carlitos, man. Welcome to the show. Truth, we will hand it over to you, my friend. We will go with the first guy on your list. Owen, help me out here.
Papo?
Yes.
That's how I'm pronouncing it. If someone thinks it's wrong, let me know. Well, here's a kid from out of Auburn. And Spartan, we've been talking about this every week about the freak list the NFL has.
Yes.
And this guy made number 8 on that list. He ran a 4.3, I think a 4.36 40.
Yeah, he's an athlete, man.
Very athletic. I think he's like 6'1", about 220, 225. It's probably the same size as the kid we just mentioned, Dorian Williams. So, but he's very active, very athletic, just like Zain just said. Moves sideline to sideline, and he looks like he loves playing football. He has that. I watched some tape on him, and he just looks like he's having fun out there. He's very, very. What's the right word? I want to say like a little kid, like a little kid playing Pop Warner. He shows excitement when he makes a play. And that's very effective. When you see that, you feed off it. If you're another player on defense, I know I would. So I like this kid. He's another kid that's a day 3 pick, I think. So it could be a good fit for Wink's defense.
For sure.
Very athletic. That's what you like, athletic players.
Nope, no doubt. Zain, we're going to hand it back to you, man. We are going to go back to we're going to keep it to the SEC here. Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. What are your thoughts on this guy?
So Drew Sanders is very interesting. There's also a handful of these intriguing guys, right? Because they either have really, really great combines that don't match their tape, or it's the other way around, right? The tape jumps off and the combine's like, meh. Or you just get the transfer guys. Like, I've never heard of this guy before. I've never seen this guy. Drew Sanders is very, very interesting because his potential and ceiling is one of the highest of the linebackers, right? People have him in the conversation as one of the top linebackers, potentially 1, 2, 3 type. You can move him around how you want. I've heard his name ahead of Simpson, who is, I would say, the consensus number 1 linebacker. Is that a fair statement, you guys think? So I've heard his name. I've heard his name ahead of that. So here's the thing with Sanders. A transfer, right? Transfer from Alabama. I guess he was either buried or, I mean, we've seen Alabama, right? They've got talent upon talent. So it's not crazy to get buried in Alabama, but it's really his ceiling that's just insane because it feels like you're just scratching the surface with this kind of kid. He's extremely fluid, very, very athletic. Third down, you don't have to take him off the field because he can rush the passer. He's the one that we're like, you know what? We need a pass rusher. Well, it's him. You can keep your other linebackers on, let him get after it. But he can obviously add a little bit, 6'4", 230-ish. He can add 10 to 15. Nothing killer, but he can add 10 to 15 on his comp was interesting. Zach Cunningham, very, very interesting. Zach Cunningham was a very high prospect and then his combine was kind of like meh, so he dropped. But he was a tackling machine for a good amount of years for the Texans, and was very, very productive. So he's gonna have to work at being a better run defender in the box, of course. When they put it there, he's still working on that man-to-man coverage. Um, his weaknesses are right now are really based on experience. He doesn't have that much experience under his belt. So he's one of those potential picks that we talk about and say, hey, you know what? Give me the athlete who has just enough experience, and by year 2 or 3, he's gonna explode. I just need to get him into my system, into my training program, and I'm gonna go get him, because really he was an edge before he transferred, right? So he's going from edge to off-ball linebacker. That is a transition in itself. So he's making a whole position change. But to succeed that quickly, 5-star Alabama recruit, it's not like he was a scrub to begin with.
Oh, no.
In any form. So I just don't think he had the opportunities. He's decent in coverage. He can take away windows. But again, we don't have enough sample size, I would say, as him as a linebacker. But he's just more exciting than anything. And the most exciting thing about him, besides the ceiling, is he's got really great athletic traits that just translate, whether it's standing up. He's almost like a Kiwanuka type thing, but a much better athlete. No knock on Kiwanuka, but the ability to put your hand and stand up and still be very effective. Be very, very effective. So it's going to be very curious. I expect to hear his name early. I don't think it's going to be us calling that name, because I think it's going pretty high.
Yeah.
But if it's one of these scenarios where I feel like if he doesn't go high, he just drops. I don't see his in between. I just feel like if you don't hear Drew Sanders in the first maybe 2 or 3 linebackers, he's then going to be somewhere in that 6, 7, 8 mark.
Well, that would be a steal for somebody if he falls that low.
And I think the lack of experience is going to make people go, yeah, he converted at Arkansas and he's 235. I don't know if he fits what I'm going to do, right? There's always that part, like, can I make it work? But as far as, what scheme does he work in? Odd fronts are always better for him for the way he's playing right now. And hello, we pay an odd front, just saying. But either way, I like this kid. I think he's a realistic target at a small percentage, but probably not, obviously, if we're being real, because again, his stock is rising and someone's going to take a chance on him. It's no different than when we talk about, Dorian Williams or any of these other guys. People take shots on potential. I said it earlier about Trayvon Walker, right? Same thing. You take a shot on that potential because you see what it can become and you want to nourish it. So that's my shot.
I think this kid, the only transaction or transition he needs to probably work on, which you will be like, he'll be facing interior linemen a lot of times on blocking. He didn't do that on the edge, so it's a you got big boys, big hogs coming at you. So he'll have to get used to that, and he will. So again, like all these rookies, the growing pain, development, everybody has to go through it.
Absolutely. And is he going to be able to shed those blocks, or is he going to get washed?
Yeah.
That's going to be the big question, right? That's the experience of, do you have a plan, or are you just running a straight line hoping you're going to bully the next guy? Because that doesn't really work in the NFL. You need plans in the NFL for it to work.
Well, the next guy on the list here is Henry Tutua out of Alabama.
You said that name pretty easily.
Yeah, that one's a little bit
different. Practicing all week. He knew who his guys were. He's been practicing in the mirror.
Hey,
you said that good.
So, look, what this guy does for an inside linebacker is he seals the edges extremely well. The outside run game, he completely locks down. And then the pass coverage, he's very good at. What he's kind of hit or miss on is the inside coverage and the tackles. He's tackling too high. That latter one is something that I know that he can kind of work on. It's something that you can kind of develop as a player as time goes on. Everything else, though, he does a pretty good job. But again, if you're looking for a guy that's going to cover the tight end and his zone coverage in the middle, I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
Okay.
I'm with you. So you feel like he's a two-down guy?
Two-down guy, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
He's not your 30-16 linebacker.
In today's NFL, as much as we play sub packages all the time, a elite or great two-down is not a bad idea at all. I'm not going to be
mad. It's the way of the NFL now.
Zain, everything's a sub package, right? Base defense is kind of out the window.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Truth. Hand it over to you, man. Cincinnati guy, Ivan Pace. Tell me about him.
Interesting.
Okay. Ivan Pace is like a little fire plug. He's like 5'10", but 230 pounds, like a Zach Thomas type of physique and size, but he's quicker than Thomas. faster. This kid's a good player. I mean, we don't talk about him. I don't see his name mentioned on Twitter. He is a good player for that Cincinnati team. And here's another kid on day 3 that will be there early in the early rounds of day 3. I wouldn't be upset if the Giants picked him. You know, the kid plays. He's good between the tackles. He's not going to be covering your tight ends in the packages, and that's okay. We just mentioned that it's okay if he's a 2-down linebacker. You know, he will fit a role on an NFL team. Whoever selects him, he will fit a role, and he'll be a part of the team that's going to contribute and be a good rookie for them. So I like this kid. Plays
And
a lot of passion.
he'll be able to play specials. You can see that transition with specials too. It's not going to be a one-sided kid. So a lot of these guys, again, we talked about it earlier, right? The Giants signed Jameson Crowder, and Giants Twitter just dies. Oh my God, is he going to be a starter?
I don't even comment when I see that, Zain. I just
Tell me, guys.
I bite my tongue.
He's a professional with so much experience that when 19 of our players get hurt on the same week, you will actually be able to replace them with somebody who can be a professional player. Everything is not about starter, Pro Bowl, all pro.
Right.
You have to build an entire roster, complementary players, backup players, special teams players. It's all depth all across the board. So this kid, I feel like, gives you more than just linebacker ability, right? Because, again, a little bit of a chess piece, but there's a specials guy. There's your sub-package guy. So, you want these moving pieces to kind of build up. You wouldn't throw him to the fire immediately. He'd be dip the toes in the water, but long-term. Yeah. Year 2, year 3, you'd want to see, this is where this guy's going.
And he's a gamer, man. I watched him on tape, man. He plays. He plays to the whistle. He's got a high motor. He's got passion, and that's what you want to see. I mean, if I was a scout, that's what I want to see in a prospect. I want to see a guy play with passion.
Yeah. Don't forget, Cincinnati had 7, 8, 9, 10 defenders drafted last year. I mean, they're now, if they're going to start churning people out, you better just keep an eye on the program. I mean,
that's right. They turned the corner now.
Beavers is from Cincinnati. Same program, that linebacker that
we had. Gardner, another one.
And we talked about him last year. He was one of the players
who brought up
the linebackers last year. We only did 10 guys. We were surprised that he dropped. But, you're bringing up a good point. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, look, Cincinnati's already getting guys that are under the radar.
Yeah, Kelsey brothers are both from Cincinnati. Like, I mean, they're producing. Maybe we're just not paying attention to the program, but they're getting guys ready.
That's exactly it. And this might be the last year of it because their head coach just went to Wisconsin. So that might be it for Cincinnati. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm a little heartbroken right now. MSU just lost their basketball game like in overtime. So
overtime too?
Overtime too. Wow.
Yeah, it was a little painful. I won't lie, but I'll just slowly.
Do you need a moment right now, Spartan?
Yeah. What's that?
Do you need a moment?
No, I don't need a moment. I need a beer as soon as this is over. God damn.
What do you young guys do when you're sad? What are you gonna go like
beer?
Cry on YouTube? Well, you're already on YouTube. Do you want to just cry for us?
No, I can't do that while we're live, and this is going directly to Craig's live YouTube. So I'll just be heartbroken and talk about linebackers that the Giants probably won't even draft. But it's still worth talking about this because we never know. Quite like Bevers, I mean, we got that one right last year.
Hey, you didn't know you didn't know you were going to get Azeez Ojulari, right? You didn't know that, but
no, that's right. No one knew. None of us knew that. Can I say something about Beavers? I have a funny feeling because he did move around in Cincinnati. He did play inside and outside. I got a funny feeling that Wink is looking at this kid and saying, you know what? If we have enough in the middle, I like to move this kid around a little bit and see what we get out of him. Because he does have pass rushing skills. And he got good length.
For me, he was an outside linebacker. So when they drafted him and they kept talking about him being a Mike, I was like, I did not see that coming. I thought they would play traditionally outside. So I was curious that they wanted him to play Mike. But he looked so good. I was like, hey, you know better than me. I'm not going to argue that.
But and he's big. Right. He's like 6'4", 250, 260. He's a big boy. Good length.
Not a small guy at all. And again, your eyes tell you something when you watch him. It's not that, I'm just being a homer. I was excited about what I saw. Again, instincts, right? You saw the reading, reacting, shedding blocks, getting through. So that kind of stuff is exciting. And again, same program. You obviously can't make the assumption with pace, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're being trained, in similar ways.
Yeah. Yep.
So the next guy on the list, actually, this is going back to you, Zane. This is going to an Iowa guy, and we've talked about a couple of Iowa players this year. But Jack Campbell, tell me about him and tell me what he's good at.
Jack Campbell's kind of good at everything. All right?
Yeah.
This is one of those things where this guy shouldn't be under the radar or getting as much critique as he is, and I'm not fully sure why he is. But yeah, mush it up, baby. But I'm
No, that's a real quick thing. That's my new nickname. Greg mispronounced my name instead of saying Spartan. Spartan. He said Spartan mush on accident the other night. So I was nice on Twitter that like my new nickname is.
Those older folks struggle with.
He's a Gen X man. He's
with those kind of responses.
And let me tell you something. Nikki jumped all over, boy. When she heard that, she jumped on it so quick.
As she should.
Should. She jumped on that. She jumped on the Odell Beckham thing, man. She did not like Craig having
If Jack Campbell's sitting there at the top of the second, I'd be very, very intrigued to pull the trigger on a Jack Campbell.
Yeah, but we're not picking until 59, though. We're not going to be in the top of the second.
No, you'd have to like move up for it type scenario.
Oh, that's what you're thinking. Okay.
If we still kind of, if he doesn't go, again, that conversation we had, if you don't hear this name in the top 2 or 3, you start getting intrigued, like, okay, I feel like I can make a move for this guy type scenario. But yeah, Jack Campbell reminds me almost like Leighton Vander Esch, but maybe a little bit better.
That's who I thought of him. Yep.
Right. So thank you. We're on the same page here.
Yep. Even looks like him. Built like him.
Old school guy, Spartan. 6'5", 250. Big boy. Runs a 4.6. He's not slow at all in any form. Right. Runs a quick shuttle. He's projected to be a Mike. Even though people are critiquing his coverage, if you go look at Jack Campbell 21 coverage versus 22 coverage, he took a step forward. He was much better in 22 in coverage, which is why he graded out so well. And again, I'm not going to end all be all die on coverage grades on a PFF or a pro reference or anything, right? They're just metrics. Use your eyes. Those are just metrics for context. But he does it all. When we talked about smart, instinctive, first step, that's this guy. You talked about Luke Kuechly, that's this guy. People thought.
You know what I love out of an inside linebacker? A receding hairline. That always means
you need it because it feels like the brain's coming more forward because the hair's covering it up. So
right. It seems to be in the gene pool there.
Lots of intangible type things, right? You can't cheat it. The makeup, the character, all that is there. He's more than enough of an athlete to me. He's not going to be I need you to be a man cover guy every guy. When we talked about that Mike who can drop into zone coverage and he'll be fine, that's him. Will he eventually be able to handle man coverage if needed? Absolutely. He's not going to get played. He's got the motor. He's going to keep going. We've seen Vander Esch 30 yards down the line still going. Same thing. He's going to go. So he has enough of the hips to flip and go. It's not like he's going to get stuck in the ground and, he's just beat. Kid's really good. Violent. Baseball athlete, track athlete, all-encompassing athlete, football player, but he's got all that background around him, and all that obviously helps with some of your mimics and movements and your agility. All that thing is beneficial to you, and of course he's got every award in the world. He's kind of like, I don't want to say he's the perfect prospect in that sense, but when you start molding out certain characteristics, he really checks every box. His biggest knock is going to be, again, in today's modern NFL, is he a 3-down backer? Can I leave him on the field for man coverage? Blah, blah, blah. Again, you don't need to put everybody on the field for 3 downs. It's not a thing. You don't have to do it. You have rotational pieces. You can let people put assignments. And at this point, I was most excited a year ago about Wink Martindale and SLM. He'll put you in the position. If Wink Martindale wants you, you're going to be on this team, and I'm excited immediately because Joe Schoen is talking to his coordinators. He's talking to his coaching staff. They have input. He's not just bringing people and saying, hey, make it work. They're getting input. So I'm assuming people want these guys to come on. So definitely excited about Jack Campbell. He'll be gone. He'll absolutely be gone. He's more of like one of those wishful thinking type guys. But if, again, a team overthinks it like an Aziz thing where he's kind of just dropping around because, he's not a 3-down guy and he can't cover, pull that trigger immediately. He's there for the next decade. Barring injury. Plug and play easily.
It just sounds like a solid guy. What round are we talking here with a guy like Jack Campbell?
if he doesn't go first round, because of course linebackers are tricky, right? They know he's easily top of the second. He's not getting past the second round.
Top 10. I think top 10 in the second round.
Yeah.
Sometimes the Giants get a lot of flack for not drafting linebackers since Carl Banks in the first round, and sometimes the outside linebacker I would get it, but we ran a 3-4 for a while. I'm sorry, 4-3 up until 2018, so it doesn't make all that not complete sense, right? And then linebackers in general, sometimes the better ones go after 15. I feel like most of them kind of do. So that's not when you really start seeing a run of the linebackers. Leighton Vander Esch, he went, I think, at 19 or 20 or something like that.
Yeah, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
That's when you usually see the linebackers go. Again, middle linebackers are good anchors, but
and again, the Cowboys got flack for it. Like, oh, why would you pick he's not going to be able to? And look what happened, right? Like, I mean, again, overthinking, just overthinking.
I hate to say it, the Cowboys are good drafters.
They are. They have that one scout. I forgot his name. I think the Giants tried to pry him away too. They have this one guy in their building, and he's just the guy. And everybody knows who this guy is, but nobody can peel him away to the point where every year Jerry Jones gives him extra money just to stay at his position.
Why wouldn't they just triple his salary, buy him a big mansion there in New York and just say,
I'm not going to hate on things that are facts. They draft fairly well, so can't
always. They never glue it together. They're like the all-star team that can't function, but they always have talent.
So that's the plus side. It doesn't matter who you draft; he'll ruin it.
Absolutely.
He just let go of a hamburger helper, right? Like Ezekiel Elliott. He couldn't. He just all he could do is eat at this point.
Yes. Jesus.
He got fat. All right, that's what I'm saying. The boy got fat. Right?
Let's just cut the shit. Let's just be real. We're trying to do here.
And guess what? I'd take him for third and 1, goal line work, no problem. I'll take him for that.
We've lived long enough to see Zeke become a fullback.
That's all right. He's getting paid. That's all right.
Amen. So, this brings me to my next guy, Diane Henley, and he's a Washington State guy. We don't see a lot of Washington State guys when we're talking about talented football players in this program, right? What he's very good at is mirroring the running backs. He's great at blowing up coverage. In coverage, he's very locked down when it comes to receivers, the tight ends. The Giants would love to have him to try to freaking cover a tight end for the first time in the last 25 years. Trust me, he is very good at that. On top of that, what's always impressive is generally these linebackers are either one side, they're good at blitzing or they're good at coverage. He can do both. He gets the quarterback very well. What he lacks at, it's just kind of in general, outside coverage, he's not going to be that guy. I can live with that. I can live with that as long as they have some sort of game plan for the Giants to get to the outside a little bit better. But he's actually a very talented football player, and I was very impressed. Truth, I don't know if you have anything to add to this guy.
No, I agree. He's very active, very similar to the couple other guys we mentioned earlier, like Williams and the other kid, Papo. Very active and very athletic. It's good instincts, He's very quick off the snap. I watched tape on him when I finally found things about him. I didn't really know him that well. And I had to read up on him and study his film. He's a good player. And he's definitely a day 2 pick. I see him going in day 2.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
He's a little small. That's going to be his knock, right? We're just, again, modern day NFL. It's just these smaller guys.
Yeah.
So I think he's 220.
Yeah, they say 6'1", 220, 225.
Yeah, so
there's no doubt there's more athleticism with these linebackers than in years past. I mean, they're definitely getting a little bit lighter and lighter. Right,
the Van Der Esch's, the Jack Campbells, they don't exist as much, right? The big guys don't get drafted. They get taken off the field. They don't last long. Everyone wants that 3-down back who's probably 6'3", 230. And
right. The sturdy meat.
Very mobile. Yep, mobile, can move, yeah.
Yeah, rush the passer, play coverage. More or less a converted safety is what I'm hearing, right? That's really what it is, a bigger safety, if you will.
Yeah. This brings me to the next guy right here, Savosia Dennis. Tell me about this Pitt guy, because Pitt's had a lot of talent the last couple of years. He's coached by a very good defensive coach there at Pitt. He used to be the MSU defensive coordinator. Tell me about this guy.
Yeah, he's another kid that Zain mentioned about Henley. Undersized, about 6 foot, 220, 225, but he's a great athlete, just like we're repeating ourselves. And this could be the new way of the inside linebacker, someone who's quick, who's very mobile, He's not going to be your Dick Buckus and drive people to the ground, but he's going to make plays for you. And I show him as a 4th-round pick. Could go earlier. Depends what team needs and what they look for in a player if he's available. But he's a good, solid player. May not be a 3-down linebacker, but again, not many guys are. If they were, they'd be going the 1st round or early 2nd. But he's a good player. He's a good player.
Zain, we're coming down to the wire here, man. We're on to your last guy. He's got a pretty badass just name in general. Like, there's something about this. I'd be a little scared if I saw this name.
DeMarvion Overshone.
Dude, I'd be a little scared if I saw a jersey with the last name Overshone on it. There's something about that's a little bit haunting to me.
Yeah.
What about this Texas cat, man? Texas is a little bit back in the game now.
So this kid is again, they're all interesting, but what makes them interesting is they're all very similarly built, but some can do the other type scenario. He's another 6'4", 220 guy, right? That's all it is. But like I said, maybe like 2 minutes ago, he's a converted safety, more or less. He's a 5th-year linebacker. He used to play safety. So you can see all of that transitioning. And kid's got size, speed, athletic. He can play the run. He's that pursuit defender I spoke about earlier, right? Not everyone's going to become all punch in the face. He's the pursuit defender. But guess what? Here's your 3-down linebacker that people want, right? He can flip his hips. You'll see the safety side. He can, drop in your zone depth. He can carry and play man. He can run with your big one. He can even play the slot. I wouldn't be surprised for him to hold down the slot receiver.
Yeah.
The athletic profile's through the roof. I mean, if you go look at his raw athletic score, he's probably going to be top 2 or 3 at this position, just because of how great it is. But like all these other small guys, guess what? O-line gets his hand on him, he's going to get washed.
Yeah.
That's a future problem to me. That's not a him problem. That's just all a future problem. At 220, going up against 3 anything, you're probably going to get washed. Like, the guy's got 100 pounds on you. So, again, unless you have a plan or you have enough bend to get underneath or around, you're probably going to get washed. So, again, but the coolest thing is his fit is an attacking style defense. And that's what we have. Remember, Dexter Lawrence for 3 years was okay, right? He was okay. Anyone who says for 3 years he was great is just lying to you. He was okay, slightly above average. In year 4, when he switched to a particular type of defense and just let him play to his strengths, all of a sudden you have an all-pro, right? There's levels to this, and scheming and your fits and how you're used is a big part of how you're going to perform at the next level. You can see people ruin players. Remember, they say, coaches can ruin players. Coaches can absolutely ruin players. That's one of those scenarios where we've seen that throughout the NFL, where how did his talent not translate? Coach probably had a good hand in it. Look at Nathaniel Hackett. You think Russell Wilson just woke up one day and forgot how to play quarterback? That's not how it works.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
For this,
what about Dexter? What about Dexter Lawrence, another guy who was mishandled, right?
Well, there you go, right? First 3 years, man, year 4, unbelievable. He should have never been playing defensive end. I couldn't believe it every time.
I know. They played him like a thoroughbred, not like a Clydesdale. I always said
40 pounds, and you want him to go in a semicircular motion to get around. He can just bully straight through. It never made sense. Thanks a lot, Joe Judge. But in that sense, this kid would be a great chess piece, definitely a 3rd rounder. So very, very attainable in my opinion. It's just a matter of will you pull the trigger. But he's absolutely there at 89, potentially even in the 4th round. Because again, small guy who's going to get washed. So if you're not going to play an attacking defense, you can't just have him standing out there. He's not going to be able to then do much. He's got the sideline to sideline. Don't get me wrong, he can, but his athletic profile won't translate simply just running sideline to sideline. You need him to do everything. You want him to be able to drop into coverage. You want to be able to blitz him. You want to be able to do other pieces. And if you're a team not doing that, you're not going to look at him twice.
Yeah, and Zain, didn't he play inside and outside at Texas?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's done it all, and he's translated to the next level, right? Safety down. So he's got enough instincts to be able to read coverage and play in coverage as well as being a linebacker. He could happily add maybe 10 pounds. I can't see him over 230 in his style of play. I think 15 might be too much, but I think to go from like 220 to 230 would be beneficial for him, add a little bit more muscle. But yeah, I'd be excited to get Overshone just because for this defense, not just the player, for this defense, he fits right in. To me,
and what round are we thinking?
3rd or 4th.
Okay. That's
I
a good
think
point.
That's about right.
I think you could get him in the 4th, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone in the 3rd.
That's why I expect the Giants to take another linebacker, to be honest with you, 4th round.
My first 3 picks, I got them going receiver, corner, center, or edge. Those kind of buckets.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat, but different order.
Maybe.
I'm on the same
Yeah.
boat as you.
My order would probably be corner. Corner edge is a toss-up, man. I know everyone thinks we don't need edge, but we do. I don't know why people don't think we do. I know you have like.
No, I think we do, but
there's a lot of people who think we're just good. We're not. There's really nothing
Well,
behind.
I guess the thing is, like, if we knew that Phibbs was totally going to step up and be that, Michael Strahan type guy, we wouldn't worry about edge too much. But
I just don't think it's that. It's that, right? So in a scenario where Tibbs gets hurt again, Aziz gets hurt again, or you want them to stand up, whose hand goes in the dirt to help compensate, right?
right now,
Jihad Ward, I'm happy to have Hattie back, even though he's got me blocked on Twitter. Yo, unblock me, bro. I like you.
Why do they block the fans that love him on Twitter, man?
It would
who's
be
this?
if I didn't like Jihad Ward. He's got me blocked on Twitter.
Why?
I'd be happy if he
man. I don't know what he's
I don't know. I'm a fan. I don't even say anything bad about him, but he's not your prototypical edge rusher. He's setting the edge guy, right? I'm not setting him, right? I'm making sure he holds the line type. It's not a knock on him. It's who he is. So from that standpoint, at this point, you'd want to upgrade that, right? I'd want a guy who, if I put their hand in the dirt, Nolan Smith, hello, if he's sitting there, I'm very curious. Are you not? I'm excited.
He could go 2 or 3 point. Yep.
Yeah, the bend, right? Like, I mean, then you can stand up Kayvon or Aziz and let them rush as well. But now you got another one pressuring your tackle and your guard. You put that pressure. That's the whole point.
That's your dog horse right there. You hit it right there. That's your dog horse. If he makes it to 25 and you go by the best player available concept,
is in that conversation.
How could you not think he would be the best player available at 25? I mean, I don't think he'll make 25, but if it happens, like you said, things we don't know.
I mean,
that's a tough one, guys. That's a tough call.
I feel like I'd have to just be in my BPA mind and be like, yeah, I know I got other places, but how can I not take this guy right now?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
So for me, it'd be corner edge. You could probably flip flop. I still think that's probably your top 2. And after that, again, yes, we need another wide receiver. Fine, gotcha.
But you're saying edge only with the thought of Smith.
Trying to think if there's anybody else that. I mean, I like BJ Ojolari, man. He's a little bit raw.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him at 25.
I wouldn't take him at first, but I feel like he'd be right there in the early second. So I wouldn't be surprised if we could trade back. We don't have to sit at 25, right? Pick up some.
No, we don't. We don't.
So I think BJ Ojolari, long arms, has a good plan. He'd fit on this line too. So I feel like that position is interesting, and let's see where they go with it. But for me, it's corner edge, probably the top, and then after that, I'm taking your best center, man. Give me a guy for the next 5 to 10. I'm tired.
You say round 2
the Giants' expected offensive line quality is garbage next year. I'm just sitting here like, guys, just get to a point.
I'll be honest with you guys. I think there could be 3 centers taken in round 2.
As long as we're taking one of them, and one of them is named Luke Weipler or Ricky Stromberg, who you could probably get in the 4th.
Yes. Stromberg would probably be 4th.
You could get him in the 4th. The Weipler should be right there, and I'm a fan.
A kid out of Michigan, probably in the 4th.
See, the kid out of Michigan, again, the reason I like Weipler over the kid out of Michigan or JMS or some of these, his athletic profile is so far superior to the other two. It doesn't mean you're necessarily a better player, but with that athletic profile, I see that translating a little bit better, where if you have the better shuttle, if you have the better 3-cone, that first step is a big deal for a center. Like, that's pretty important to me within that 10-yard.
Yeah. And another thing, there's a kid picking up steam I think he's out of Troy, Jake Andrews. I think he's picking up steam.
Yeah, I saw that the other day, that he's ascending very quickly.
Yeah.
So there's a handful of guys. Again, whoever the regime picks, I'm not going to be like, I don't like this kid. I'm all in regardless. Weipler and Stromberg are probably the 2 guys I'd want.
Okay.
I'm with you.
And again, we're not talking about center, so let's pivot back because we got into a different convo.
No,
I know we did.
Bring up the point. It's all about
back to Overshawn. He would be an incredible chess piece for this defense.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You bring up a good point. Like, look, I mean, we have to go BPA, right? The Giants are going to have to. And play positions like center and cornerback and safety. I actually do feel like there's a lot of talent here. Wide receiver, it's tough because we want that true number 1 guy. We've all been talking about it, but I don't know who's going to be there at 25.
They all could be gone. All four of them. We don't know.
Right.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
only
we
two are
could-
gone. We have no clue.
We
don't
could
know.
be left in a position where trading back is literally the option, where it's like there's really nothing worth
We're
pulling.
already
be.
far back.
Could be.
Real quick, I'll go through my guy real quick because he was a pretty good player in terms of the pass rush. The most impressive thing about this guy, and I would even go as far as to say he's the best pass rusher of all the linebackers on here. It's not the expectation of a linebacker. It isn't, not the inside linebacker these days. And I would hope he would bring other value to the game. Continues to the runner. He's pretty good with that. And he chases dudes down from behind. That's one thing I like about this guy. Like, look, if you're going to blow it up and then you're chasing guys from behind, it's like, okay, thanks for doing your job. He does a very effective job of getting after those guys that broke off for long runs that were to the other side of the field. He does a phenomenal job. And I think that could just prevent any deep plays. But really, those should be minimalized before they even get to that point. But again, when it comes to the pass rush, dude's excellent. Trenton Simpson is incredible at that.
I would absolutely love this guy. He is Overshawn like 3.0. Overshawn is a simpler version of this, but he's just not going to make it to us. He's a top 15 pick. But can you imagine him and Bobby? I'd be so happy.
It'll be shades of the Giants' glory days of linebackers.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally one more complimentary linebacker or stud piece away from having a very solid and young, incredible front, and that goes a long way in this game.
Totally.
Yeah.
Truth, we're on to your last guy, man. We have run down to the wire here, and we're dealing with the TCU guy, the runners up the national title game. Tell me about D. Winters.
Well, here's another kid who's I guess technically small due to his height, 5'11", but he's built like a brick. He's 225. Another kid, moves very well laterally. He's a violent tackler. If you saw him in the playoffs, he made a couple of hits that forced fumbles. He has an endless motor, plays with a lot of enthusiasm, which I keep saying like a broken record. I love that when I watch especially a linebacker play with emotion. I love that. He's a kid that he's not in the same breath as Simpson or Sanders, of course, but he's the kind of guy who could play on a team and contribute in special teams or in certain packages. And he'll be a mid to early, not late, but I say 5 or 6 round pick. I can see him going.
I got him going early 6th-ish, late 5th, so that's about right.
Yeah. So I mean, again, he's not a 3-down linebacker, and not many guys are, but he's a good player, and he should find a team in the NFL and have a nice career and be a good player.
Do you consider him to be almost like a little bit of a strong safety type build?
Oh yeah. He's only 5'11", so he's like built like Landon Collins, as a matter of fact. That's what Collins was, right? He was like 5'11", 215. I was like 220 Collins. Oh, he's might be more than that. But I could definitely see that. A little bit shorter in height wise, but he's a player. Yeah. He's not afraid to stick his nose in there.
With 10 picks and the added depth we're seeing, I want to see I think BPA, everyone should be satisfied. I think if everyone just if everyone just backs off the we need scenario and just take the best talent every position, everyone's going to incrementally rise up.
I agree.
Yeah, especially late on day 3. You're right, Zain. Yeah. You go for best talent.
Yeah, I can understand between the first 3 picks to take the best, even and match up your need and your want. I can get that. But after that, if you just pluck the best one with the added depth we've done so far, I think you take that next step on both sides of the ball, which is important to not force picks and say, I need this guy.
That's how you build a roster. That's exactly how you build a roster.
Don't be afraid to say, well, I already got a guy at that position. So what? That's okay. That's okay.
I like to mention just a couple of honorable guys that I really was trying to have a hard time. I was debating and putting them in here. I think there's one kid who I really, right now, without giving my mock draft away, I have the Giants taking him. And the kid out of Indiana, Cam Jones.
Yeah.
I like that kid. I like he could play running, he could play the pass.
Where are you taking him? 5th?
He's definitely a late rounder. I think a 4th or 5th rounder. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. And again, I always say it depends how the first 50 go. So
Yeah, he's got a little bit of work to do, but again, potential and defense matter to me a lot.
Yeah.
Defense matters. Like, scheme to me in the NFL is so much more important than we talk about. Everyone's not just there's a handful of the it doesn't matter guys. We know who they are. Everybody else, if you put them in the right situation, they're gonna flourish.
yeah. I got the kid out of Florida, Ventrell Miller, I believe his name is, and
I like Ventrell Miller. Yeah.
Mike Jones out of LSU. I like him. I watched a few games on him. I like the way he plays. So those three guys, I was thinking about adding one of them to my four, but unfortunately I didn't. But I wanted to mention them anyway.
Well, any honorable mentions here from your Truth? Let's make them quick and tell everybody what they need to do to research these guys.
Yep.
What to do? Obviously, you got to YouTube them, but go ahead.
What's that? What do you want me to say?
Any other further honorable?
No, that's it. I just have those three guys, and that's listen, it's a very surprising, deeper position than we thought. I thought. I'll tell you the truth. When I started looking into the inside linebackers, because all you heard about was Sanders and Simpson, and then of course the other kid out of Iowa, Campbell. Yeah. But I tell you, there's more talent there, and teams are going to pick some of these kids, and they're going to be happy for them because they're going to fulfill the rosters. They're going to be good role players, and they're going to contribute.
Yep.
Corner and linebacker, deep looking class, productive deep class, where that third, fourth round guy is going to be starters on teams. It's not going to be
safety. Zain, Spartan and I talk about safety. We were shocked.
Safeties were phenomenal.
Yeah, and you know what? We lost one. We could use one, right? This is how you again.
I think so. I think we got 7 picks on day 3.
Yeah, I mean,
I definitely see a safety in that one.
And that's 7 picks right now, assuming there's not a trade back. Shane likes to wheel and deal, right? Already happened. So let's see what he does with it again. Right now, this is going to be more important than last year's draft or last year's free agency. This second class is now your solidification, because now after this, the third year, everyone's going to have to show that step up after that. So very curious. I think Beavers was still a steal. I just hope he's healthy. I would not be shocked if he's part of that starting core that takes place. But I'm just excited for the depth elevation and just hoping we take the smart approach of the BPA while still filling the needs. Again, early on, I understand between wide receiver and center being such glaring needs for that specific need. I can understand trying to match that up, and I'm not mad at that. But like Truth said, right? Day 3 with all those picks, you just got to BPA and keep it forward. Guard, whatever. BPA and keep moving forward. Don't think twice.
Yep. Listen, I have faith in Shane. I think he's gonna knock out a ballpark this draft. I just have a gut feeling.
So I'm nervous.
I think
and not get hurt. I just want people to stay healthy for once.
Yes,
that's the biggest problem. You're right. That's the biggest problem.
Everybody except Micah McFadden in the previous draft class got hurt.
I know.
Just one guy didn't.
Of course. And he went to the Cowboys.
Out of 11 players, one guy didn't get hurt.
Our freaking luck, man.
What are the odds of that, right?
Our odds pretty high. If it's
I guarantee that's going to happen.
We talk about another team, they're going to be very low.
Yeah, you get Wan'Dale Robinson gets 100 yards in the air, and then he gets hurt. It's like, what the?
Which is exactly what Craig said was going to happen.
I mean, I guess old people are right every now and then.
Every now and then, Gen X gets something right.
Even a broken clock, right? Even a broken clock.
That's right. We're talking about your generation too here, Truth. We're gonna have
I know. I'm getting bombarded over here.
Hey, Spartan, the X in Gen X stands for X-Lax.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna have an intergenerational debate come up on New York Giants Rush. We'll still
wait till next week, Zain. I'm gonna have to go against Spartan and Nikki.
There we go.
I might just come by for that one to watch.
Hey-o. Hey, look, guys. Zain, thank you so much for coming through tonight.
I appreciate you guys having me. I love the draft show. You guys are killing it every week with not even the guests, but your own research and the names you're bringing up, and the information is quality. Appreciate you.
Dog, appreciate you.
We love having you.
As always, man. But guys, Giants fans, thank you so much for coming through. Thank you all so much. Have a fantastic night. Go Giants. Let's hope we seal the deal with linebacker here.